Hear ye, hear ye. The dishonorable Judge Joleen is in session. We got to talk about Karen Read retrial, day 21. Roast it, react to it, recap it. So grab a beverage. Hopefully you're wearing something very comfy. Smash that like, and let's get started.
Jen! 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 Because I had like bread and maybe peanut butter in my car.
Why did you have bread and peanut butter in your car?
I had my niece for the week, and I was dragging her like to all my kids' sporting events. So we'd go from like one game to another game to a practice. So sometimes instead of always giving her McDonald's or Dunkin' Donuts, I'd try to throw her a peanut butter sandwich.
And they were making fun of you?
Yeah.
Oh my God, what the hell?
Sometimes instead of always giving her McDonald's or Dunkin' Donuts.
Welcome back, everybody. Judge Joleen here, aka stand-up comedian and pop culture vulture, sometimes dishonorable judge, Judge Joleen, here to talk about Karen Read retrial, day 21. Objection. Where the frick have you been? Overruled. I've been doing some things. Also, they were off, okay? Auntie Bev had to receive Person of the Year award from Dunkin' Donuts, and also great clips. If you guys didn't know, the Karen Read trial was paused for the holiday weekend, and also so Auntie Bev could receive Person of the Year from great clips. Yeah, for her bangs. She was honored for her honorable bangs. So that's where they've been. Judge Bev was like, I had to get my bangs. I've been going to the same great clips for years, babe. Okay, we're gonna do a sidebar, a long sidebar, outside of the court by myself sidebar, so I could go get honored for my bodacious bangs, Dunkin' Donuts, and go to Dunkin' Donuts. So we're back. Karen Read, day 21, and we have a gentleman on the stand today with direct examination named Judson Welcher, or Welch's grapefruit juice. Okay. Now, Judson, aka Judd, aka what the frick, is an accident reconstructionist and biomechanical engineer with Aperture. Where do we know Aperture from? That guy that has an AA and lied that he had a BS. Remember Shannon Burgess? Aperture, just bringing up all the winners. Okay. So he's going to have his testimony, and he is their accident reconstructionist. We're going to play it. I've listened to segments of it. So I've tuned into a couple of the lawyer channels. You know, over here, what we do, we take a comedic look. We bring levity to the law. You know, we have some honest reactions, and we try to have a few laughs. I know that might seem weird because we're dealing with such a heavy subject, but if you know anything about this trial, you'll know it is hilarious. It's not meant to be, but you have to laugh because it's so ridiculous what's going on here. No matter what you believe, what happened, what's going on, we know that this investigation, we know that it's a mess. It's a mess in a dress. So welcome, Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin' Donuts. We get to see him. We get to see Judd Welch's grapefruit juice. So I am going to head over to the trial channel and share. They've already compiled today's testimony from Mr. Judson for us to peruse. In the description of this video, you will find a link for the trial channel. Go subscribe. Go show them all the love. They put it all together nicely in a package. Yeah, they do, Cordy. And they do it with no sidebars. So they take out the sidebars, grab your Dunkin' Donuts, and you can just watch it. Okay, not too many pauses. They get right to the meat, right to the roast beef. Right to the obbies. We have the meats. All right. But first, make sure you smash that like. Okay. If you haven't already, hit the like. It's free. And it lets people know we're over here. We're talking about Karen Read. A lot of people are talking about it, but we're the only people who are talking about it and probably getting a lot of things incorrect and trying too hard to be funny. So do you want to go somewhere where people just know all the facts and are really smart? Or do you want to be here where, you know, I'm just going to try sometimes too hard to be funny and fail and get stuff wrong? You decide. You decide. I mean, it's up to you. Okay. But smash the like, hit the subscribe. If you want to support the channel further, you can send a super chat while we're live. We'll talk about it. I'll highlight your comment. Thank you to those of you who have sent super thanks. You can also hit me up on the Venmo, PayPal, Cash App. There's a Venmo thingy here. All the other information is in the description, including a link to my Patreon and also my YouTube membership, where you can get bonus content, members only lives, exclusive emojis, all the things. Hi, I missed you guys. I missed you. I know some of you watched my pop culture stuff and Karen Read, but some of you are just here for the Karen Read, and I missed you so much. Okay, so grab a Dunkin' Donuts and let's pull this shit up for the peanut butter.
John's boyfriend, Karen Read, killed him.
That's what Judson's going to try to tell us. He's going to reconstruct the crime scene, and he's going to try to convince us that John's boyfriend, Karen, hit him with the car.
And his mother leans over the kitchen island and says to me, I think it looks like he got hit by a car. It looks like he got hit by a car.
Perhaps you may be able to help solve a mystery.
I think he got hit by a car. It looks like he got hit by a car. All right. Let's do this, you guys. I want to hear you guys. Sound off in the live chat. I want all your hopes, thoughts, dreams, and opinions regarding everything we are talking about today in this testimony we're watching. We're going to jump around in it. Okay, just so you know, we're going to kind of peruse the trial channel. They are way more responsible than me, way more put together than my channel. And as you can see, they have what's called a time stamp. A time stamp. Something you will sometimes find in the description of my videos, but always find in the very professional trial channel's video. I'm so impressed by people who can time stamp so easily. I love it. All right. So let's do this damn thing. Order in the court. Hear ye, hear ye. Let's get this party started. Objection. You already said that, bitch. Overruled. And don't call me a bitch, bitch. Okay. Let's start. Give me a thumbs up as soon as you guys can hear the audio and let me know if it's loud enough. Right out the gate. Did you guys hear that? I got to pop in my AirPod. We already got an Auntie Bev. She's been off for 5 freaking days and she's already deep breathing. Oh, this one is the one I dropped in the hot tub. Oh my God. I have one AirPod I dropped in the hot tub and it sounds like the sound is 9,000 miles away. It sounds like the sound is in Asia. Okay. It's on another continent. This one's better, but I keep it because I have mismatched AirPods. Welcome to the neurodivergent life, ADHD. Okay. Did you guys hear Auntie Bev and that loud sigh right out the gate? She was already honored for having the best bangs in the game, for having the most bodacious bangs. Okay, I'm going to tell you guys the truth. You guys really want to? I got the inside scoop where Auntie Bev was. She wasn't getting the Person of the Year award for her bangs. All right. She was getting a BBL. You won't be able to tell because she's wearing the gown. Okay. She's got the judge's schmuck, what's it called? Smock on. But she got a BBL. Allegedly. Don't sue me. Everything I say is true except for the parts that are false. Everything is alleged and for entertainment purposes only. All right. And it's for comedy, parody, satire. Thank you, Chickenhead, for the first super chat of the live. Chickenhead PK, Dorkface to the Neely says, that is why I laugh so hard. You're the best. No, you're the best. She got a BBL Bev. That's what we're calling her now, BBL Bev. That's not sexist. That's sexy. Okay, you guys, don't be sexist. Be sexy. If someone called me BBL Jolene, I'd be like, oh my God, thank you. Normally, they just call me wide and flat Lunzer. I don't know why, because I have a lot up here, but it's flat. And you guys don't need to know about my anatomy. Objection. Nobody asked. You're giving that information. Like you're just offering it up. Sustained. You're right, bitch. You're right. BBL Bev with the sigh. Okay. Because she's probably in pain. She probably has to sit on a donut, like a Dunkin' Donut. She got to sit on a Dunkin' Donut, you guys. All right. job today. This fucking sucks.
Just understood the energy of the report in case now hearing should be truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Tracy, for being a member for
Morning.
42
Morning,
months. You're amazing. Thank you, Tracy. Can you guys hear it? Give me a thumbs up.
So we're going to have a short voir dire. Okay, so Mr.
Oh,
Leslie.
we are starting on a voir dire. We're starting on a Je suis voir dire. Je suis Joleen. Je m'appelle Joleen. Tu es voir dire. Comment t'appelles-tu? Okay, merci beaucoup. Je vous en prie. We are starting with the voir dire. And there you go. Judson Welcher, the voir dire. So the jury isn't in yet. They got to talk about some stuff. They got some talking to do. Leading. Ebony says, after you told us about the naked fart story yesterday, I don't think anything, and nothing's off limits. That's the life of a comedian. I share my most embarrassing moments with you. And I just hope for your laugh. I get paid in your laughter. Okay, so Bev's already like, we're going to do a voir dire. Do you know what that is? Okay. And then we're going to say bye.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
What's up, Judson?
Morning, Dr. Welcher.
Morning.
If you look at any documents in answering my question,
We stop a lot. Did you see him put the pen in his mouth? Stop trying to be sexy, Judson. You're here as an expert witness for the Commonwealth, the prosecution. Okay. What a slut. Did you guys see that? He was like this. Stop slutting yourself out, Magic Judson. All right. You are here to be an expert witness, not to be a whore.
I appreciate you letting me know that, okay?
Okay.
Do you have any documents open in front of you at this moment?
I do. I have a binder.
Your Honor, I would ask until the question
Can
comes
you
up.
do without it, sir, for a few minutes?
Depending on the question, sure.
Okay, so just let us know if you need to look at it. Don't look at it without
Bev's
I mean,
permission, please.
already.
All right, go ahead, Mr.
Thank you, Your
Leslie.
Honor. Dr. Welcher, you have changed your PowerPoint presentation in the last few days in this case, correct?
I deleted a slide and removed a couple words.
Right, but you've changed your PowerPoint presentation, correct?
Correct. I deleted a slide and deleted a couple words.
Okay. I deleted a slide, deleted a couple words. So that's a change. That's called a change, Mr. Welcher.
Who have you
Why think it'd be difficult right out the gate?
spoken to
Oh, and this is Alessi questioning him from the defense.
at the Commonwealth in the last 2 weeks? Anybody associated with the Commonwealth, who have you spoken to?
In the last 2 weeks, Mr. Brannon, Mr. Lally, Lieutenant Tully.
Lieutenant Tully. Okay.
Anyone else?
Jen McCabe. Wait, Jen! Guaranteed he talked to, even if he doesn't admit it, he talked to Jen McCabe.
I think Mary Ellen Gray,
Anyone else?
the
My mom.
tech person, Cindy, this morning.
Leave Cindy out of it. Why is Cindy catching straight? She's a tech person. So you can get your PowerPoint up. Shout out to Cindy.
And with regard to those conversations, what prompted those conversations?
Sex.
Who initiated them?
Objection, Jolene.
I was originally told I was going to have to be out here last Monday. So there was a whole flurry of conversations around that. I was initially told I may have to give all my rebuttal testimony on the whole huge data set I'd received.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, sir. My question was simply because we have a limited amount of time. Who initiated the conversations?
Oh,
Did you say you up or did they say you up? That's what they're asking you, Welcher. Keep up.
there were multiple conversations.
Who initiated it?
How many?
I have no
More
idea.
than 10?
I'm sorry?
More than 10?
Probably not.
All right. What did you discuss with, you understand it's no longer Detective Lieutenant Tully. It's, as I understand, it's Lieutenant Tully. Did you have you said you had conversations with him, correct?
Correct.
When was the first conversation? How many? And what are the nature of those conversations?
Are you limited to the last
Second.
10 days or in total in my life?
No, within the last 2 weeks.
Sir? I almost said ma'am. Sir? He already said 2 weeks. In your lifetime. In your entire, since you were born. Since you were jizzed. Tell us how many times you talked to anyone associated. Sir, stop it. We're still in the voir.
2 weeks.
Last 2 weeks. I believe it was when I got here on Saturday night. I informed them I'd landed, and then Sunday morning, he gave me a ride over to the district attorney's office.
And what did you discuss from when you, did you have any discussions with Lieutenant Tully before Saturday?
Yes, chicken head. Thank you.
Within the last
Dancing
2
around
weeks.
the answer.
Not to my knowledge.
What did you discuss with Lieutenant Tully? Topics.
Give me a time frame.
I keep saying the last 2 weeks. That's the time frame I'm looking at.
How can these people be experts? They don't even know when they graduated and they don't understand a basic question. The man keeps saying 2 weeks. It's like literally what you're going to have to put in to your job, the notice you're going to have to give, because they're going to ask you to leave. But they're going to go, I'm just going to get in. You can pretend you quit. 2 weeks, sir. 2 weeks. It's the amount of time, the longest amount of time a woman has ever talked to you consecutively in a relationship. 2 weeks. Why is he doing that? Why? How is he going to reconstruct a crime scene when he needs to reconstruct his brain? What? Objection. That was stupid and not funny. Sustained. That was stupid. But with a slight objection that it comedy and what's funny is subjective.
What did you discuss with Lieutenant Tully? Topics.
The size of your dick.
Give me a time frame.
I keep saying the last 2 weeks. That's the time frame I'm looking
all
at.
the conversations I had with him.
Yes.
Can you have somebody pick me up at the hotel?
I'm talking substantive, sir, about your outline, your PowerPoint presentation. Topics of what discussions about your.
This is already hilarious. Like I said, this shit is not supposed to be funny or frustrating. It's supposed to just be the voir dire, and we figure some shit out, and then the jury comes in. But what time will you pick me up at the hotel? Do they have a continental breakfast? Can I get my shirts ironed? Is there a minibar? Because I like to drink. Like, what are you talking about?
The topics in your PowerPoint
How do you already look this confused? How does he already look this confused?
presentation.
I had no discussions with him about the topics in my PowerPoint presentation.
Who did you have discussions with from the Commonwealth about the topics in your PowerPoint presentation?
Mr. Brandon and Mr. Lally.
Your money back.
Describe those conversations and how many you had, including the first one that you had.
Well, I originally submitted my presentation with my original report way back, I believe, in January.
Right. I'm asking for conversations within the last 2 weeks.
Okay, question wasn't clear.
Oh no.
Then
Oh no. Objection. That is rude to Alessi because his question was clear. Sustained, bitch. Sustained. It was so clear. In the last 2 weeks. Why did you talk about regarding your presentation? Not what did you eat? Not who's going to pick you up? Not since you were born. The question wasn't clear. Okay, sassy McSasserpants. He's coming in like a whole asshole. Your question wasn't clear. Don't you talk to Alessi like that. Don't you talk to him like that. He dyes his hair. He probably runs marathons. He's a doctor. You think you're a doctor? He's a doctor. Put some respect on Alessi's name. How dare this man come in here with these America's Best frames and be sassy to Alessi? How dare you, sir? He's from New York.
Describe those conversations and how many you had, including the first one that you had.
well, I originally submitted my presentation with my original report way back, I believe, in January.
Right. I'm asking for conversations within the last 2 weeks.
Okay, question wasn't clear. Then on Sunday, we just went through top to bottom through my presentation. Mr. Brandon wanted to make sure he understood everything in it. And then I met with Mr. Brandon again on Sunday.
I think he's in a K-hole. I think this man did some kind of substance that he's like, and then he might be tripping. He might have done some shrooms or something. Get a little nervous. Or maybe he's like doing those microdosing, but he macrodosed on accident. He's like, He's searching the skies for the answer. He's like, Sky Daddy, help me.
We ran through it briefly again, and then that was largely it.
Who suggested the changes to your presentation?
Mr. Brennan.
Mr. Brennan suggested the changes that you make.
He indicated some of the things.
You're supposed to be the expert. You're supposed to be coming with your expertise, laying the groundwork for the reconstruction or the construction of the accident, reconstructing the accident. And Brennan's like, no, we gotta change that. That doesn't work for my time frame that keeps changing. Do you hear Alessi too? He's like, ooh, Mr. Brennan asked you to change that? You talk about Hank Brennan? Talk about Hanky Panky? Hanky Panky? Okay.
Things, for example, the slide I deleted referenced testimony that I was not allowed to include on a slide.
Were there any discussions with anybody from the prosecution team about the changes with regard to the what I would call the Dighton route, the Dighton distance, and the total mileage? Do you know which slide I'm referring to, sir?
I do, yeah.
Who initiated the discussion on the changes to that slide?
So that slide was changed, I don't know, probably 8 or 10 days ago.
Oh, it was changed 8 or 10 days ago.
Correct.
Were there any changes made?
I love Alexi's reaction. Oh, it was changed 8 or 10 days ago. Okay. Because the prosecution said they've only had this for this lot, and that doesn't. Okay. It's interesting. And who told you to change it? Hank Brennan. Henry Hank Brennan the 8th. Okay.
Made from 8 or 10 days ago to what's now in your presentation?
Not beyond what we talked about.
Oh, okay. So 10 days ago, those changes were made.
8 to 10 days ago. I could actually probably figure out exactly when, if you like.
Now my next questions go to Mr. Burgess. Mr. Burgess is a colleague of yours at Aperture, correct?
Correct.
Are you aware of issues relating to the accuracy or inaccuracy of his CV?
Unfortunately, I've been bombarded with emails that have referenced that. I've seen it. I have not read them.
You've been bombarded with them, but you have, and you say on.
He's thirsty already talking about the CV, the notorious, the infamous CV.
8 to 10 days ago. I could actually probably figure out exactly when, if you like.
Now my next questions go to Mr. Burgess. Mr. Burgess.
No, we don't want any kind of exact information. You're just the expert, witness for the, prosecution. So you don't have to be exact being an expert witness. Just guess, bro. Just guess. That's what we brought you here to guess.
This is a colleague of yours at Aperture, correct?
Correct.
Are you aware of issues relating to the accuracy or inaccuracy of his CV?
Unfortunately, I've been bombarded with emails that have referenced that. I've seen it. I have not read them.
You've been bombarded with them, but you have, and you say unfortunately, but you have not read any of them? None?
Maybe 1 or 2 lines. For example, they come in, they're looking like legitimate business emails. And then I pull it up as a business email. I'm like, okay, I'm not supposed to do this. Court said I can't look at this.
Now, I want to go back to your.
Yeah, right. Yeah, freaking right. Better not read this. Court said no, Welcher, don't look. Maybe 1 or 2, but you've been bombarded, but you didn't read. Okay.
Slide presentation. I understand that you intend, subject to our objection to the court's ruling, you intend to present testimony with regard to your PowerPoint, where you are going to elaborate on your 1231-38 to 1231-43 trigger 1162-2, and you're going to add to what has been in your presentation a verbal discussion with regard to Mr. Burgess's change that he made in his May 8th report with regard to the variance time window. Do I have that correct?
No, you don't. It's not based upon a verbal discussion. It's based upon his report.
Okay, so you're going to make, you propose, what you're intending to do is you want to add the change from Mr. Burgess's May 8th report to what you're going to testify to on your PowerPoint. Do I have that correct?
That is correct.
And the only reason you're going to testify with regard to altering the 1231-38 to 1231-43 window is because of what Mr. Burgess has done on May 8th. Is that correct?
It's better data. So I'm altering it and correcting it with better data that I've received from Mr. Burgess.
Right. But my point is, if it weren't for Mr. Burgess's change, you wouldn't be making any changes in your testimony, correct? It's only because of what Mr. Burgess did on May 8th. Is that correct?
Only from his report, correct.
Correct. So And you understand, sir, that that change has significant effects on the very issues in this case with regard to the timeline and the collision you allege occurred, and comparing it to human volitional conduct of Mr. O'Keefe with regard to his manipulation of the phone. You understand the consequences of that change, do you, sir?
I do. I would disagree with your assertion that it's consequential. Again, my original data, which is in my PowerPoint, has not changed. That data is still there. The timing was extremely close within the error of the measurements, which Mr. Burgess ultimately showed in his subsequent report that was within the variance associated with those timing devices.
I understand, but my point, sir, and I want to understand if I have it correct, is that is going to move the time that you assert the 1162.2 trigger occurred, correct?
Correct.
And you would agree that's a substantial change given the issues in this case when seconds matter, or do you think it's an insignificant change?
I wouldn't say it's insignificant. Again, I haven't modified my PowerPoint at all. I was happy with the data I had and satisfied with the data I had. Again, once presented as engineer would with better data, we use better data. I'm sorry.
Please, voir dire, let him finish.
Yeah.
It brings it closer in time to Ian Whiffen's last contact point data. But even if we don't have that, given what I knew about the variance in the cell phones, my time was still within that window anyway.
Sir, you've just answered my question, which is you agree that it affects the timeline.
Karen's like, and her brother in the front row is like,
In the activity of Mr.
they're like, can you believe this guy? They're doing it again.
Report, you said brings it closer. Did I have your words correctly?
Correct. What I was concerned about was your word about significant change. It brings it closer. It doesn't necessarily bring it significantly closer. My original timeline was very close, within the range of the accuracy of those types of cell phones, infotainment system data. So even if I didn't have Mr. Burgess's subsequent report, the data is still within that time window.
Sir, isn't it a fact that with the variance of Mr. Burgess that you want to testify to, that there is a change because your 1162.2 trigger 1231.38 to 1231.43, you know that there's a device lock event on the phone of Mr. O'Keefe after that time period. You understand that, correct?
So again, there's a window of plus minus on that. Technically, those timestamps on that are, as you indicated, again, it's literally, I wrote that on my slide. It includes my slide where I have that exact comment.
But my question, sir, is the change means now that with the Mr. Burgess variance moving, you now have part of the moving range that occurs after the device lock, whereas before your change, the device lock occurred after every bit of your range of 1162.2. I have that correct, don't I, sir?
You do.
Okay.
Thanks.
Your Honor, that's all I needed. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to bring the jury in.
Crazy. I can't wait. Hopefully tomorrow they'll get done with this direct and Alessi can just chop him up Alessi style. All right. So now we're gonna bring the jury in, everybody. Bev is like, okay, that was a voir dire. Yeah, we got some Dunkin' Donuts. Here comes the jury. Hi guys, it's me, Bev.
So can I just state my jury again? Yes, sir. Please tell me sir, the understood the court and jury the case now is ready to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right,
Babe.
Mr. Brennan,
Thank
whenever
you.
you're ready.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, Mr. Brown.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury and spell your first and last name for the court reporter who's next to you?
Absolutely. My name is Judson Welcher. My first name is Judson.
Me, Judson Welcher. Do. Okay, sorry. I just had like a Jetsons moment. He's Judson Welcher.
Last name is Welcher.
This is a strong hairline for Aperture. I will say that.
Welcher.
Sir, what do you do for a profession?
I'm an accident reconstructionist and biomechanical engineer.
I'd like you to explain to us a little bit about what an accident reconstructionist does.
Sure. You can think of accident reconstruction, things such as this, as the physics and engineering that happens in car crashes. So accident reconstruction tends to deal with everything that happens to the car and outside the car, skid marks, vehicle.
He said skid marks. Proctor knows about the skid marks and his leaky balloon knot.
Damage, the electronic recording systems in the vehicle. things that have to do with the motion, forces, and how the physics of everything occurred and how that affected the motion of the vehicles.
You said that you were an accident reconstructionist, but also a biomechanical engineer. How is your work as a biomechanical engineer different than an accident reconstructionist?
Did we check his LinkedIn though? We got to check his LinkedIn. Make sure the CV, everything lines up. We'll get there.
So simply, you can think of biomechanics as similar, but to everything inside the car. So biomechanics is looking at how the effects of physical forces are applied to the human anatomy. When I'm trying to explain to somebody what I do, I say, hey, it's like a civil engineer who's designing a bridge. So many trucks and cars on the bridge. Are that going to cause the beams in the bridge to fail? Is that going to cause the cables to fail?
Of course you can. Okay. Objection leading. She's leading us with the description, Casey is, of Alexi being ripped. Overruled. We already knew Alexi was ripped. Alexi is ripped. So yeah, you send it over, babe. joleenreacts@gmail.com. And if he's got bangs, even better.
To fail. So a human body is governed by the same laws of physics, just like the bridge. Obviously, it's made of a lot of different materials, but in a human body, my beams are bones. My cables are the muscles and ligaments. Different material properties, but everything's governed by the laws of physics and principles of engineering. So I'm looking at how physical forces, the outside of the car, when people are inside the car, seat belts, airbags. The first seatbelt was patented by an engineer. It's engineers who quantify the force of the crash and what kind of injury damage there is to the body. So it is force that causes damage like a fracture. And so we're looking at how the physical forces are applied to the body and what that means in terms of what happens to the body.
Okay.
Dr. Welcher, I want to ask you a little bit about how you became a biomechanical engineer and an accident reconstructionist. Can you tell us?
Sure. So when I was getting ready to go to college, my father, who was a physician, said, whatever you do, do not go to medical school. Because I was getting ready to go to medical school. So this was 39 years ago, I believe. 35 years ago, 39 years ago. He said, it's just not worth it. So I said, okay. So then I entered into the mechanical engineering.
Whose dad says, don't be a doctor. It's not worth it. Don't do it. Boy, don't do it. It's not, I'm not going to do it, Dad. I was just thinking about, I'm not going to do it. I did it. Like, whose parent? That's the last thing my parents were saying. Don't be a doctor. They were like, don't write bad checks like some of your uncles. Okay? Don't steal from people like some of the family. I've never heard anyone's parents be like, don't be a doctor. Oh my God. It's not worth it. Helping people, saving lives, making people feel better, getting paid well. Ugh, gross.
Engineering. I grew up riding motorcycles, taking things apart.
Nobody cares about your motorcycle, sir.
Frequently pissing my parents off when I couldn't put it back.
Did you say pissing? Did you swear? Did you say a swear, Judson?
So I said, okay. So then I entered into the mechanical engineering. I grew up riding motorcycles, taking things apart, frequently pissing my parents off when I couldn't put it back.
Frequently pissing my parents off. He's trying too hard to be relatable. When he says taking things apart, I'm thinking serial killer. Do you know what I mean? That's just where my head's going. No offense to Judson Welcher. Objection. That's very offensive to this man. Overruled. I don't care. Judge Joleen doesn't care.
Put it back together. But I like taking things apart and figuring out how things work. So I went.
He's like, I took apart the car, and then my mom and dad couldn't go to work for like a week.
To university and got my undergraduate degree in mechanical engineering. From there, I happened to be at a Thursday meeting of the American Society of Mechanical.
AA. He was at an AA meeting. I saw him there. You're not supposed to. Objection. That's anonymous. You're not supposed to say. Sustained. Sustained. Just kidding. Strike that from the record. I did not see him at the AA meeting I saw him at. Okay. Stop it. I'm sorry.
Mechanical engineers. A group came in from a company that did this type of work, and they showed some examples of how you apply engineering concepts that you learn in mechanical engineering to the human body. And so I was like, man, that's a great job. That's the perfect mix of engineering that I have and my desire, to learn the medical side of things as well.
Yeah, and you don't want to be a doctor because your dad said that's a waste of your life.
Without becoming a doctor. So I talked to them. I actually applied to the company and was ultimately hired as a biomechanical engineer.
How long did you?
I think he just said Obama. Okay, we're gonna skip ahead a little bit because he's just talking about pissing off his parents and stuff. And thank you to the trial channel. Shout out to the trial channel. Go give him a subscription. We are going to hit, let's see, we got credentials, testifying in court. Let's talk. Let's listen to Aperture.
Found conclusions from the data.
Thank you, Chickenhead. New York accent.
Presently,
Marry a
you
doctor.
said you had a company and you sold it.
You'll
Where do you work?
life.
It's a company called Aperture. I guess we were acquired or merged into it technically. Quite frankly, Karen, what I'm doing is trying to do a good engineering job, which is looking at the data and drawing sound principles and sound conclusions from the data.
Presently, you said you had a company and you sold it. Where do you work?
It's a company called Aperture. I guess we were acquired.
Oh, damn. That was your company, sir? Aperture was his company and he sold it? What is this man worth, Judson Welcher? I gotta Google him real quick. We're on a little Google. Smash the like. Mods, if you don't mind letting me know when have we hit 100 likes yet? I hope we did. He's the executive vice president of Aperture. Accident reconstruction biomechanics. I'm looking at his CV. It sounded like he owned it, right? Judson has been employed in the field of biomechanical, blah, 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 blah. I'm not reading all that. Does Judson Welcher own Aperture? No, he doesn't own Aperture. He's an employee. It sounded like, you know, when people work for companies, but they're so high up in the company or the corporation that they're like, and we merged. Yeah. And we were bought. Yeah. And they talk as though they are the company itself. That's weird. That's weird. That's weird.
Acquired or merged into it technically.
How many offices do you know? You had a
Just trying to do a good engineering job.
Now
which is
listen to the
looking
way
at
he
data
says this.
and drawing sound principles and sound conclusions from the data.
Presently, you said you had a company and you sold it. Where do you work?
It's a company called Aperture. I guess we were acquired or merged into it technically.
Okay, so did he have a company before this that was merged into Aperture? I'm confused, but I'm going to move on.
How many offices do you know Aperture has?
Oh, God, we already asked Shannon this. Nobody cares. So what? Who cares? All right, so Aperture, we know he's in Aperture. We know the deal. Ally McBeal. Let's check out evidence reviewed.
Were you asked to look at any data or information relative to
Irene.
this case?
Yes.
In
Got
looking
it.
at data and
Thanks, Ebony.
information, do you try to look at a narrow or broad range of information?
So I definitely cast a very broad range. We try and get as much information as possible. And then, weed it down to what is important, weed it down to what is consistent with the data. So start off very big and then get down to sort of the meat and potatoes of it, the important information.
Do you necessarily rely
So like online dating, you throw out a wide net, you see what you catch, you get it real close, and ultimately you remain alone. Got it.
on everything you look at?
No, I certainly consider everything I look at, but I frequently don't rely on everything because sometimes it's not reliable or it's irrelevant.
In this case, can you share
Oh
with
my
us
God, Cameron.
materials generally that you looked at in your review?
Sure. You're going to read from my report. Thank you.
Princey, the Prince is here. He's crying. Come on, Princey.
So, Mr. Reporter, I apologize for the lengthy list. Slow.
Oh my God. Are you trying to flirt with the court reporter? Sir, knock it off. Hey, producer Prince, knock it off. I apologize. It's a lengthy list. And she's like, just say it already. Just say it. Don't spray it. Don't talk to me. That's what I would do. If I was a court reporter, I'd be like, don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. Don't flirt with me.
So, Mr. Reporter, I apologize for the lengthy list. Slow. So I have police reports, including the Canton PD incident report, and I have 8 other reports. Also, the 34 Fairview Road Rams final report or cars report. I have the ring video from Mr. O'Keefe's residence. I believe that's One Meadows. I have the cruiser cameras, which are the police vehicles, onboard cameras, both front and rear cameras.
Do you have the waterfall footage? Do you have the Canton PD footage? Can you tell us, is that Brian Higgins or is it Brian Albert? What was he doing? What's going on? Can you reconstruct that? Was he moving cars? I'm going to speed this up 1.3. This is all the information he has, all the things he's reviewed.
I believe 10 different videos. I have photos and videos of the scene from Sergeant. I have photos of the vehicles, 140 photographs of the vehicles lined up together. I have 25 additional photographs of the scene.
Do you have pictures of the cups? No.
18 separate photographs of the scene. 2 photographs of the scene. One group
Do you have pictures of Chloe?
of 92 of the scene. One group of 50 of the scene. Another video showing the cars lined up bumper to bumper. 4 videos of the scene. I have a video showing Miss Reed's vehicle being pulled into the Sally Port at the Canton Police Department. I have a 360 diagram, surveillance video files from McCarthy's, surveillance video files from Waterfall Bar, Canton Police Department Sally Port videos from Dighton. I have the Lexus Connect Verizon records. I have the alarm.com videos. I have a video of the tow truck arriving at the Canton Police Department.
All right. So I'm sure if there's some crazy things that he has in that, I'm eating my own hair. Apologies. Oh my God. Objection. Disgusting. Ew, gross. Okay. We're back. We're back, guys. All right. Alessi will question him about that. We're going to move it along. All right. So we got evidence reviewed. That's the evidence he's reviewed, that long list. I apologize. He's trying to be too cute, too relatable. So far, don't like it. He started out too sassy. I was ready to give him a chance. Judson Welch's grapefruit juice. I was ready to give him a chance. But just like grapefruit juice, he made me gassy. He hurt my tummy. I didn't like it because he was too sassy. All right. Evidence reviewed. PowerPoint admitted. Viewing the scene and cause firsthand. Let's see what he's saying there.
Yeah, approach, Your Honor.
Yes.
Of course. Stood on my lap.
Yes.
Yes.
So I'm handing
Check
you a
out my
binder.
BBL.
Kindly take a look at it.
Thank you, chicken head. I'm making myself laugh with pics of my cat. I love your kitties.
It appears like 141 pages. Didn't look at every page, but it looks right.
All right, now to mark this for identification.
Okay. It's 140 pages, but it looks right. Chicken head, your cats are so cute. And your cats are all white. Question, are they deaf? Because I've had friends who have had all white cats. And my friend Lori, who used to work at a vet, said that a lot of times cats that are all white are also deaf. And I don't know why. But I just have to ask that question. Your cats are adorable. I love them.
With the court's permission, I'd like to have Dr. Welcher use his PowerPoint presentation to walk us through some of the information he'd like
Oh my
to
God. I hope his PowerPoint presentation has music. I hope it's like fun. You know what I mean? I know it's like, it's reconstructing a scene, of a schmurder, someone passed. I get it. But I just want it to be like, I always hate when someone just really boring PowerPoints. Ugh, bring a book.
like to share today.
Okay. No objections to us, right?
No objection, Your Honor. Thank you.
Your Honor, I'm looking at a paper version in front of me.
Okay. Is the paper version this?
Is he supposed to just address Bev like that? Don't just talk to Bev.
Same as what we're going to see up here?
It is.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes, all
Thank
are
you.
deaf.
Dr.
Okay.
Welcher is going
See,
to manage
I
PowerPoint
thought maybe
presentation.
Lori was lying. No, I knew Lori, my friend. Shout out to Lori. Not a liar. But that's so interesting. Very interesting. Shout out to your beautiful kitties.
So you mentioned that you wanted to look at the area and look at the scene. Your office is in California.
It is.
Why was it important to come all the way out to this area to see the scene firsthand?
Hold on a second.
I'll let you set up before I start asking you more questions.
I already don't trust him. He's California trash like me. I don't trust him.
So that's me. Oh, that's my first slide.
Did he? I wish we could see the slides. He said, "That's me." It's probably his intro slide. Oh God, this reminds me of all the time that I worked in corporate America and I wanted to like run out in traffic. When those corporate guys make jokes, it's bad. Corporate men, stop it. Stop it. When any kind of vice president, executive vice president, when they're like, shut up. Everyone resents you for how much money you make and how much money we don't make and how you'll just throw us away in 2 seconds. Don't make jokes, sir. Don't make jokes.
Hold on a second.
I'll let you set up before I start asking you more questions.
So that's me. Oh, that's my first slide. Again,
I have a couple
I'm
questions
having flashbacks.
for you, Dr. Welcher.
Please.
The first is your office is in California.
Oh, yes, sir.
Why was it important to come all the way out here and view the scene firsthand?
And you want to have as much information as possible. So I wanted to,
Getting me out.
physically look
Big
at
divorce
all the
energy.
things so I can actually see with my own hands, my own eyes, lay hands upon it.
Let's be honest. He wanted to check out the talent in Massachusetts. This is the kind of guy that's texting his friends like Proctor. I'm going to go to Massachusetts and check out the talent out there. I hear they like to drink. We know why you really came out here, sir.
Look at it as best I can. You try and inspect and look at as many things as you possibly can. Sometimes they don't exist anymore. Sometimes they're gone. And you have to make the best approximation if you can't do that. In this case, I was able to look at the scene and both
Tell me
vehicles.
about it. Oh my God.
Was that an important part of your study, Doctor?
I think so. Again,
How about
so
this one? We would have like weekly meetings, and the main boss's name was Daryl, and they'd be like Zoom, video meetings, and he called it Donuts with Daryl. And guess what? None of us got any fucking donuts. And I was like, Daryl, don't call the meeting Donuts with Daryl when we don't even have any donuts because we're all working remotely. And they thought it was so cute. We got another Donuts with Daryl. And I was pissed because every time I went to Donuts with Daryl, which was the team meeting, I just was reminded I'm not getting any donuts. Sometimes Daryl would have donuts in his office that he would show us from his executive office with the wonderful view. But we didn't have any donuts. All right. Objection, Joleen, you're spiraling. You're crashing out, as the TikTokers say. Overruled. I'm processing. I'm in a state of processing.
And it's always good if you're going to talk about what happened to the cars
Donuts.
or what happened to the people to look at what happened to the cars, meaning to actually look at the cars, not just look at photographs when possible.
Oh,
so I
so
have
sorry.
physically
graphics.
looked at the cars. For example, on the
That's what
Lexus,
we
I
use,
climbed
Microsoft Teams.
in it, over it, underneath it. I downloaded data from it. I did a whole bunch of things looking at Ms.
Sorry,
Reed's
Rebecca.
Lexus to assist in my analysis to try and add some further objective data to what we're doing here. So same thing with Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle. Looked at the rear bumper, took some pieces off the rear bumper to see what was behind the cover, to see what kind of damage we did or didn't have. So went to the scene, looked at the measurements of the curb, looked at where some of the lines are on the road because you can see them in some of the photographs. Again, it's always good when possible to inspect everything you can inspect.
If you could now begin and tell us how you started your investigation.
Sure. So on September 23rd, I had an opportunity to come out. Mr. Brandon, was the first time I ever met you on that day, I believe. And I had received material before that.
Okay, why are we getting, you sound like me, sir, but I'm a comedian and commentator on YouTube, but you're adding information we don't need. That's the day I met you, I think, Brennan. What is it? What do you want to be reminded of your anniversary, sir? He's trying to be too cute and sassy at the same time. I don't like it.
And what you see here is, this is my inspection of Miss Reed's vehicle. In the upper left photograph, you'll see, oh, this doesn't work very well.
Every time he says that, I just think, look at this photograph. Every time I do it makes me laugh. Is that him laying down? Does he have a boner? What is objection? That is objectifying the witness. Overruled. It's in the picture. It's in the picture. I don't understand what's going on. The upper right corner. What's happening in the jeans? Maybe he has another tape measure in there. I don't know.
Upper left photograph.
Yeah, too casual. Too
That's
casual.
Miss Reed's vehicle. That's Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle, the Chevy Traverse. And then what you see here is
Happy
a
birthday,
laser
Irene.
scanner. You can see it on the ground here. Laser scanner is creating a 3D model of the vehicles. So I use that to create a 3D model of the vehicles. You can see me in the upper right photograph.
Yeah, we
That
can.
Watch is this watch right here, my Garmin watch. And what I'm doing is looking at the construction composition of that right rear corner of the bumper. I'm looking at things such as the dimensions, where various lights and components are, and how does the geometry of that.
The geometry. I feel like he's the type that I got to get up there and make love to the Lexus. I got up in Karen Read's Lexus. I like to get up there. The angle of this picture of him laying down with the measuring tape is too sus. I don't like it. I feel sexually harassed. Okay. I didn't consent to this.
Bumper relate
make it bigger so you guys can
to
see.
things that would be hit
That's what she said. I did say that. Okay. Oh my, do you see what I'm talking about? What they talk about? They ain't talking about nothing. They're talking about something.
and back into.
Dr. Welcher notes this is 9/23/94. Is that an accurate date of when you came and first started looking at the vehicles in the area?
You said 24, correct?
I did.
You said 9/23/24, correct. And then on the slide, what I tried to do is underline what I'm doing. So this is inspection of the Reed Lexus. And as noted, I'm only showing you a couple. I actually took 445 photographs.
Do you remember when you began this case? The month or the date?
No, it was obviously before this. I had material before I came out to look at the vehicles.
You think it was months before this?
I don't think it was months. No, it was maybe 8 months.
This is a mess. How are you an executive vice president and this is your freaking PowerPoint presentation? This sucks. You're right. Gosh, what is this? These men at Aperture, they are just doing the smallest amount and making way too much. I love that you guys wishing happy birthday to Irene. Happy 60th tomorrow, Irene. We're so happy you're here. Happy birthday. Always give yourself a shout out. If you don't shout yourself out, who will? That's what I always say. I always shout myself out. I love it.
Month, if not less.
For your birthday, I've given you this man's whatever's going on in the upper right corner.
So you began your work in the fall of 2024?
Correct.
And I just want to ask you about the picture in the middle. You see the right taillight housing is missing. Did you
Correct.
understand that had been removed prior to you looking at the car?
It was, yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. However, some of the evidence stickers, these white stickers here, were still on the vehicle.
You did not place those. Did you place those stickers on yourself?
I did not.
Were they there when you first saw the car?
Correct. They match what I'd seen in other photos.
Thank you.
So just continuing on. So what you see is, again, I mentioned looking underneath the bumper. So we wanted to see what, if anything, was damaged on the corner. So I'm putting my hand to show where the frame rail ends. This is me looking up underneath to the back.
These are horrendous pictures. This is what you're paying for? You couldn't have got like a photographer to come with you? You couldn't have learned how to take a picture? Thank you, Chickenhead, for the super chat. Chickenhead said, that is not a meeting. It's a meeting. Rhymes with meeting. For real. For real, for real. I'm sorry, Irene. I take back the gift. I'll get you something better. But these pictures and this whole PowerPoint is horrible. It's not appealing. Brian, you're right. This is trash.
Back side of this taillight. If you can see, this red taillight actually sticks out. And so I'm checking the front here for damage. I'm checking the back for damage.
1 second, please. Okay, Doctor, when you were looking for damage on the previous slide, did you find any damage to that lower right red taillight?
No, there was no damage to the taillight.
The middle picture is from the inside, looking at the inside of that taillight. Was there any damage to the inside of that taillight?
There was not.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So again, look at the height of it. I mentioned this lower taillight. Notice how the structure of the bumper protrudes out. You can see one of the marks, which is consistent with the contact to Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle. Here, this scratch mark, or scuff mark. Notice how close it is to this light. Again, some of the evidence, stickers.
These pictures
Just
are
got a view of
horrible.
those, then going down the side of the vehicle. So with all that information, I mentioned a laser scan. So you move this laser scanner and each.
Oh my God, this is bad too. This is kind of like with ESPN covering the NBA Western Conference Finals. They have like the worst AI generated basketball players showing us plays of what just happened in the game when they could just replay the actual play that just happened. This is what this is reminding me of. It's making me mad. Just like ESPN's pissing me off. They're like, look what we can do. And I'm like, oh, so you made we characters and you put your announcer in one of those freaking game things. I forget what they're called. That my little nephew plays. And you're like shaking like, oh, look at this is what SGA did. This is what Ant did. Just give us the replay. Why do we need this? You have the actual thing there. What does this prove? I don't like it. I don't like it.
Minute 51 second scan is
It's
collecting
stopped.
about 50 million data points.
It's doing too much.
And so you scan all the way around, and then what you do is you merge all that data together. So even though this looks like a poor photograph, what you're seeing is hundreds of millions of photographs. Hundreds of
It
millions
doesn't look like a poor photograph. It is a poor photograph. It's a poor scan. It's horrible.
of points. And so you literally can figure out, if you want to know the distance from this lug nut to where the lighter is on the ashtray, you could probably do that to an accuracy of about 2 to 3 millimeters.
No way.
So really taking tons and tons of data. So it knows the exact position of every one of these millions of data points, and it knows the color associated with those data points.
Why is that data imaging so important?
Oh
in accident
my
reconstruction?
God.
You
You could literally download InShot for free. It's an app for like editing pictures, videos, and make a collage better than this. You could have asked a middle schooler to collage this better than this executive vice president, who you guys said makes like 200 million or something allegedly. Bosch. I have a Bosch fridge. Not to brag on objection. That's a humble brag. Sustained. It was. This is horrendous. I can't even concentrate on what he's saying because this is so bad. If I was in the jury, I'd be like, no, Auntie Bev would have to be giving me a lecture. Like,
you don't have
executive vice president, and this is what he's presenting.
an accurate model of the car. So, I mean, you probably don't need literally that many points to get an accurate model, but that's just the nature of the way the science is going. Computers are getting better and faster. Scanners are getting faster. So you get an enormous amount of data when you use these scanners nowadays. So then, as indicated on the underline here, I did a CDR. That's a little different than what you heard me say before. CDR is crash data retrieval. So that's the hardware and software that you use to download or actually copy or take an image of, means you're just taking an image off what's on the vehicle, the EDR, which is the event data recorder. So you use the crash data retrieval hardware
True, Rebecca.
to download the event data recorder, otherwise commonly known as a black box. So I downloaded the black box from this vehicle, and although you can hardly read it here, again, I mentioned there are two systems on this vehicle. This is the CDR system or EDR system. There's also the text stream. The EDR system, this system is primarily to manage the safety components, protect the occupants of the
All right, show me the EDM system, because this, okay. I'm going to fast forward a little bit. We're skipping around, guys.
simply means that there's no data there. The system's working properly. We had no fault codes, but for a car hitting a pedestrian to cause a file here, this is really more designed for car-to-car impacts, something that's going to have a significant impact on the occupant of the Lexus. And again, the Lexus is a 6,000-pound vehicle. Mr. O'Keefe's only 216 pounds. So it's not going to register from hitting a pedestrian.
Were you surprised that there was no information about a collision in the EDR?
No, exactly what I expected.
It's not going to register from hitting a pedestrian? That's weird, right? Is that not weird that the car's black box or whatever is not going to register from hitting a pedestrian? Also, stop fat shaming the Lexus. It is a big, beautiful Lexus woman. All right.
Okay, I mentioned the second system. So as underlined up here, this is the text stream. So this is from Toyota text stream data. You can see the screens here. There's generally two types of files, what's called a vehicle control history and a PCS file. The PCS file is
why didn't he just like, the presentation is so trash.
Looked at Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle, same thing, took a series of photographs, laser scanned it, looked in it, underneath it, behind it.
No, we know you looked in it.
Mentioned taking some of the bumper parts off. So I took this rear cover off here to look at the damage behind the bumper cover. Most cars have what's referred to as a face bar. That's that piece of metal that you see here. And there's a piece of energy absorber here. That's your face bar. So I'm looking to see if there's any damage to that. There was no damage to that.
Before you go,
So he's looking at Karen's car and John O'Keefe's car. And we're talking, we saw on the ring footage that Karen's car hit John O'Keefe's car. Oh, yeah.
forward, I want you to take a couple steps back because I want to ask you some questions to explain text stream data. Could you go back?
Okay, so he's going to explain text stream data. Cool. Got it. Alessi will cover this if you want to learn about this in further detail. There you go. All right, what's our timestamp we're at now? 53. All right, so lining up the SUVs, digitally mapping the scene. Okay, let's try lining up the SUVs.
This is the right car. This is the right program.
You left us at slide 10 when you were inspecting Mr. O'Keefe's car?
Correct.
Okay, we're
so again,
still inspecting
simply
cars.
Blue arrow indicating that I looked down behind. We have the data to figure that out,
Let's look at reviewing the dash cam videos.
down to a couple millimeters.
In addition to going to the scene and doing the digital mapping, you mentioned other review of materials. Did you have an opportunity to review dash cam footage from Canton Police Department police vehicles to see the general location of where Mr. O'Keefe was when first responders were assisting him?
Objection, Your Honor.
So that's just a yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you.
What did he object to?
So
Okay, let me rewind.
Assisting him. Department police vehicles to see the general location of where Mr. O'Keefe was when first responders were assisting him.
Objection, Your Honor.
So that's
So he wants to, did he see where the general location of where first responders, where Mr. O'Keefe was when first responders were assisting him? Alessi says, objection, Your Honor.
just a yes or no?
And then, you know, Auntie Bev's like, it's just a yes or no. I'm going to let it in. I'm going to allow it. It's just a yes or no.
yes.
Thank you.
So the text stream download. So this is a screenshot from the text stream download. Keep in mind, this is kind of maintenance software. So we're looking at a number of things in the maintenance software. What we see is, and this is noted in the report too, that when the vehicle gets into the Canton Police Department after this event, you can see the mileage is 12,665 miles. So that shows up in Trooper Paul's report. It shows up in the photographs.
Oh, I miss Trooper Paul. This guy makes me miss Trooper Paul. Do you guys miss Trooper Paul? Let me know in the chat or the comments if you're watching later if we should do a little throwback and go over Trooper Paul's testimony from last trial, since we're not going to see him this trial.
And it shows up as matching the mileage in the text stream data, both at triggers 11.
Got it. We're going to fast forward a little. Here we go. We got some times.
And so this is referred to as the key cycle trip. So key cycle is simply you turn it on, not necessarily turn the ignition on, turn on, turn
Okay,
off.
so this is the key cycle trip. This is, you turn the ignition on.
And so this is referred to as the key cycle trip. So key cycle is simply you turn it on, not necessarily turn the ignition on, turn off. That's one key cycle. So I labeled this one 1162-2 because there's also one that's on the same key cycle that I'm calling 1162-1. The system also records the mileage. So again, this is a maintenance system generally. So what you see is the T here is the trigger, and there's a point. So this time in the text stream data, you can think of it as like a stopwatch. It's when it starts when the car turns on and stops when the car turns off. And then if it sees a triggering event, a T, it records that information. So this is when the trigger happened. So that's 1,142.2 seconds. And so I've converted that to minutes and seconds because most people don't think in seconds. And so what it also does is once it sees a trigger, it's constantly circulating data through the computer. So when it says, okay, we have a trigger, it saves 5 seconds before the trigger and then 5 seconds after the trigger. So the trigger's in the middle and you have 5 seconds of data before and 5 seconds of data after.
I have a couple questions for you, Dr. Welch. First, starting with the clock, the time in seconds on the left. You mentioned that begins when the car is turned on. What type of clock is that called?
It's just a continuous clock. I mean, it's not a clock like a time clock. It's more like a stopwatch kind of clock.
Turn
Is it
on,
ever
turn
referred to
on.
as a running clock?
Off.
The same thing.
Lights on.
I think you start the stopwatch as running.
Based on the text stream data alone found in that one spot, can you tell from the data in the text stream alone what time the power was turned on?
No, not alone. It simply tells you how long it's been on. It doesn't necessarily immediately tie it back to a clock time. You need additional information.
And so this in and of itself, the text stream data doesn't give you a certain time on a clock, like 1 o'clock or 2:30, anything like that.
No, it simply tells you in this case when the trigger occurred, it's been on for 19 minutes and 2 seconds.
You also mentioned that there's a 10-second window of information that's captured, 5 seconds before the T and 5 seconds after the T, the triggering event.
Correct.
Your Honor.
Sustained, ask it differently.
That window of
Sustained, ask it differently.
10 seconds, what happens if that doesn't capture the entire event? What if there's something before or after? What does the text stream data do?
So it depends on what the something is. So if there's another trigger, then it will record more data. So you can have 2 triggers that are recording things on the same time window as well, or very close to the same time window.
Okay.
So you need another trigger to keep it going. In essence, what it does is when it sees a trigger, it saves that 10-second window and then just keeps monitoring things until it sees another trigger.
If the data captures a trigger, it has a 10-second window, and an event continues past that 10 seconds, so past the 5 seconds on either side, and there's no further trigger, do you get any other information from the text stream data?
No. For example, in the trigger event, say 5 seconds later, the vehicle's still moving, well, the data just ends. And it says it's going 17 miles an hour, for example. It doesn't continue on. We just know that when the trigger ended, it was going 17 miles an hour.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So
We got through the trigger.
we have
Trigger
mileage
warning.
recorded.
Okay, so he's going to record the mileage. Got it. Key cycle, text stream data download. Things are happening. Key cycle, key cycle. Lexus and Trevor's collision impact. Let's check this out.
Occurred somewhere between 12:32. Oh, puts it in
When
front
Karen
of
Read's car ran into John O'Keefe's car, when we saw in the ring cam footage.
34 Fairview. So the backing event.
We got cell phone data. When Karen Read's cell phone connects to the Wi-Fi at John O'Keefe's.
This backing maneuver occurred with the defendant's Lexus that you just spoke about.
Yes.
And could you share with the jury your opinion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty?
Sure. It matches the window of the cell phone data for Mr. O'Keefe that puts it in front of 34 Fairview. So the backing event occurred somewhere between 12:32:04 and 12:32:12.
So I now want to turn to a different part of your study of this case.
Okay.
At some point,
I'm going to rewind that just a tinge.
the entire distance that is captured
Yep, because I think we got some objections.
type and triggering event of the second event, 1162-2.
I do.
And could you share with the jury your opinion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty, the type of event to that second triggering event?
It's, again, the trigger event itself was a transition into reverse and then high throttle application. It's a forward motion followed by a lengthy high-speed rear impact or rear motion.
High speed, rear motion.
Move to strike that portion of the answer.
Yes, I'm not going to highlight it. So get the answer.
So they asked, move to strike. She says, yes. I'm not going to highlight it.
Again.
So ask and get the answer again.
Let me ask the question again, Your Honor.
Yes, Mr. Leslie, yes, right? I'll strike the previous answer. Go ahead and ask the question again.
Okay. Do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty as to the nature of the second triggering event, 1162-2?
Yes.
Could you share your opinion with the jury?
The triggering event was high throttle opening and a transition to reverse. It's a forward motion followed by a higher speed rear motion. And at the end of the trigger event, you're still at 74% throttle.
Do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty, the entire distance captured in that 10-second window during the back maneuver or 1162-2?
Do you have an opinion about it?
Do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty of
Yes.
the entire distance?
Your whole purpose of being here is to give your expert opinion. So yeah, do you have an expert opinion about this? Because you can't say for certainty, because that would be speculative. I think. Objection. You don't really know what you're talking about. Overruled. Yes, I do. Shut up.
That is captured in that 10-second window of the second triggering event, 1162-2.
So it obviously only captures what's going on during the trigger. It doesn't capture before or after the trigger.
Understood. Do you have an opinion as to just what is captured as far as the distance?
Yes.
And what is your opinion?
That it's 87 feet. So again, the initial forward motion is 34 feet, followed by it backing, crossing the initial point, and then backing up an additional 53 feet.
And finally, regarding this part of your analysis, do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty as to whether the defendant's Lexus was decelerating, accelerating, or remaining the same at the end of that data captured at the triggering event 1162-2?
It was accelerating at 74% throttle.
Okay. I heard that he gets to a part where he's like recreating it wearing what appears to be like John's clothing, and I haven't seen this, and I want to see that part. All of this is great, fantastic, whatever. I'm waiting for Alessi on this, but live accident reconstruction, and maybe that's what I'm looking for.
Reasonable degree of engineering certainty.
That's
Did I
the
just
high degree
hear
of
it?
engineering certainty. The injuries, the at scene.
You mentioned there were 3 areas of study, and we've been through 2.
Correct.
Could you tell us what you focused on your third area of study regarding this case?
So the third area of study, I'm now focusing in on the injuries, the at scene, physical evidence, taillight fragments, broken glass, things of that nature.
That's all I want to see, Amber.
And when you conducted your studies and reached conclusions, did you, in your PowerPoint, provide slides to help explain your process and inevitably your conclusions?
Yes, sir.
You can take us through the third section of your efforts regarding this case, specifically your efforts to identify the different pieces of evidence and your conclusions about a collision in this case?
Absolutely. Slide 104.
Please.
So this is a.
Is this 105, Dr. Lunzer?
I'm sorry, 105. Yes, sorry. Slide 105. This is a picture of Mr. O'Keefe's right arm, forearm, hand, and wrist. In anatomy, your arm is defined from your shoulder to your elbow, and then from your elbow to your wrist is your forearm, and then this is your hand. So technically, when you say arm, it really means from your elbow to your shoulder. Most people call
If you're watching this on replay, and well, they might cut this part out because YouTube tends to strike channels when they show this, but we'll see. We'll go with it.
Arm, it's actually the upper extremity. Arm is from shoulder to elbow. Elbow to wrist is forearm and hand. So you can see I wrote arm and forearm. So arm, elbow to shoulder, elbow to wrist is forearm. So looking at the injuries to Mr. O'Keefe's arm, forearm, as well as his hand. So this is me.
Oh my God.
I'm actually 6 feet, half an inch tall.
Oh my God. I'm already cringing. Okay. So this is him recreating it. This is me. Okay. I'm going to slow this down to real time, you guys, because I have to experience. I've only heard people talking about this. All right. I think I heard it on Crime Junkie or Criminal Junkie. Shout out to them. Giving a brief synopsis. Okay.
So this is me. I'm actually 6 feet, half an inch tall. What you see in the upper right.
He would bring up the half an inch. Check issues for lifts. Check issues for lifts.
Is the coroner's examination report for Mr. O'Keefe. He's 73 inches tall. That's 6 feet, 1 inch tall. At this time, I was 220 pounds. Mr. O'Keefe at the time of this incident was 216 pounds. So I took measurements of myself. I'm actually wearing the same make and size shoes as Mr. O'Keefe, the same brand of jeans as Mr. O'Keefe.
Okay. Law people, trial people, is this normal behavior for accident reconstruction that he would buy the same shoes, the same clothes? Is it supposed to be this cringy? Let me know in the comments or the chat.
Same.
And is that him too? Who is the gentleman holding the stick to measure you? Does he really have to wear the t-shirt? It's okay.
Brand and size shirt of Mr. O'Keefe. You see the Lexus in the background. We have matched the height to the Lexus. What I'm showing here is both my height, and then keep in mind where the height of this wing is relative to my right eye. So now I'm wearing, in addition to the same shirt and shoes, same type of sweatshirt, and actually the same kind of baseball hat.
That's creepy. Oh my God, it's creepy, right?
We tried to determine the exact glass from the Waterfall Grill. Found out they were getting different ones at different times, but I ordered my glass from the same distributor that Waterfall Grill ordered their glasses from. So you
And this is what the taxpayers paid for. Okay.
can see in my right hand here, I have a glass. Here's a glass. It looks similar. It's from the same location. And then in the lower right photograph, what I've done is I've rolled up my sleeve, taken the sweatshirt off.
Why?
And I'm going to look at how this contact pattern lines up. So the first set of slides, I'm simply standing next to the Lexus. We know we have a broken taillight. We know how scratches on Mr. O'Keefe's arm. I'm seeing how those may or may not relate to the height and position of the taillight.
Dr. Welcher, if you could back up one slide, I have a question for you. In the middle photograph, at the top of the Lexus, there's like a rim. What do you call that?
A rim job.
I call it a wind wing. I mean, it could be a wing.
Okay.
It's a spoiler. No, I don't know what that is.
Thank you.
Air dam would be another.
Air dam. Oh boy.
Okay, so I then said about to do
Why is it blue?
bit of testing with the Lexus. The first test you're going to see is me just walking backwards or actually sideways into the Lexus. What I've done is I've painted the Lexus right rear tail light with what's called grease paint, and sort of like paint, but it doesn't dry. And then I have backed up sideways, side shuffled into the Lexus with my arm out. See what the damage pattern looks
Oh God. Oh, this is worse than I thought. What? This is what? What? Okay, I guess let's watch that again.
As I've painted the Lexus right rear tail light with what's called grease paint, and sort of like paint, but it doesn't dry. And then I have backed up sideways, side shuffled into the Lexus with my arm out. See what the damage pattern looks like.
Oh no. This is a very serious matter, but I want to laugh because this is so ridiculous and I'm uncomfortable. And this man just ran himself into the back of the car with paint on it. Oh my, no, I don't like this. This is worse than they described. I don't yike that. No, I'm gonna have to slow it down. I don't yike it though.
Backed up sideways, side shuffled into the Lexus with my arm out.
No. Unnecessary. I don't. This is performative. Objection. Performative. Gross. Unnecessary. Looks like a fetish. Sustained. I don't like this, you guys. Yeah.
Basically where sideways, side shuffled into the Lexus with my arm out. See what the damage pattern looks like. Or basically where someone of Mr. O'Keefe's height's arm would contact the rear taillight. So then what you see is I've shown.
I saw him lean in. Did you guys see the lean in? There was a lean in.
Up. Sideways, side shuffled into the Lexus with my arm.
This ain't tap dancing, Judson. He's like, I shuffle ball changed into the car.
Arm out. See what the
he leaned in. You leaned in, sir.
Damage pattern looks like. Or basically where someone of Mr. O'Keefe's height's arm would contact the rear taillight. So then what you see is I've shown the photographs again. I show the paint transfer onto my arm. The yellow grease paint on my hand was to show where my hand would hit the taillight. And so
this is so creepy.
Just kind of me walking slowly sideways into it. The approximate location of the taillight, and I'll line it up with the broken taillight in a second, lines up with the approximate location of the lacerations on Mr. O'Keefe's arm.
Dr. Lunzer, let me ask you a question. When you're engaging in these demonstrations, are you attempting to try to show exactly how Mr. O'Keefe was struck?
No. So we don't know exactly how he was struck. And pedestrian impacts are extreme.
Exactly. You don't know anything. And you guys are trying to prove something that there was a collision, that John O'Keefe was hit and killed by the car that Karen Read was driving. And you can't prove it. It doesn't make any sense. And now we got a guy putting blue paint all over. I was wondering why people were talking about the Blue Man Group, but now it makes so much sense. Now you got old Blue Man Group over here just rolling around in paint like he's at the gosh darn Coachella. You know, I told you this man is on something. He's shrooming or something's going on. There are some psychedelics happening. He is in the woods. He's having his Bill Hicks moment. I don't like it.
Extremely sensitive to exact angles. And so where exactly your foot is, whether your foot's off the ground, can have an effect on where you end up after that. We just don't have enough information in this case to determine all that information. We know the taillight was broken. We know.
Yes, you don't have enough information in this case to determine that kind of information because this case was a shit ass investigation and we've seen it. It's a travesty.
The glass was broken.
But here we are.
We know we have damage to the rear of the Lexus. We know we have lacerations in Mr. O'Keefe's arm. So I'm trying to see if there's any correlation between all those.
And there's not.
Well, can body posture on a clip or a side slight collision change the trajectory or the injury?
Of course.
Can the way somebody moves or reacts before impact change it? What are other things that can change the trajectory of the person and the injuries?
So, for example, if you get
No, Gigi. Jesus, he had a long sleeve sweatshirt on. If a taillight did this, his shirt would be ripped to hell. No, he's saying, obviously, he took it off. He rolled up his sleeve. He leaned into it with his glass holding arm. Like, this is so ridiculous. I cannot wait for Alessi. Oh, I hope the cross comes soon because this is, this man is never going to get the justice. John O'Keefe is never going to get the justice he deserves because they're dicking around with paint and these aperture weirdos. Oh my gosh, Gigi, love you. Love you, girl. You're making too much sense, Gigi. You're making too much sense. These aperture dudes are like, no, what if he was showing his muscles and he rolled up his sleeve and then he held his arm exactly like this and then leaned into the car and turned. What are we doing here? This is so dumb.
Get hit and knocked off balance or clipped and knocked off balance, you can take additional steps that will affect how far your body travels. If you have one foot on the ground versus the other foot on the ground, affects how the body rotates. If your arm is at 90 degrees or 85 degrees, will affect the kinematics. We attempted to model different possibilities, and we're getting results that were all over the map. Small changes in the pedestrian position give you huge change in the output. And so from the tech stream data, we don't know exactly when in the tech stream data he was hit. So we don't even know the exact impact speed. In most pedestrian reconstructions, you typically have a point where the impact occurred, like where the person was, like in the crosswalk, for example.
It's just becoming more and more clear that they just want this lady to be guilty. They just want this thing that they wanted to pin on her from the jump to be true, and they can't prove it even in the slightest sense. It's so ridiculous.
And they get hit and their tire leaves a rubber scrub. That's called the area of impact or point of impact. You then can look at how far they were thrown and using some laws of physics, calculate how fast the car had to be going. Well, we don't have that in this case. We don't know exactly where Mr. O'Keefe was on the roadway when this happened. Sorry, I'm about to go to the next slide.
Without having an exact point of impact or an exact speed or an exact body position, are you able to specifically replicate the actual collision in the way Mr. O'Keefe's body would move?
Exactly replicate? No. And again, in terms of how he would move, again, we don't know where exactly on the roadway he started. So in terms of how he moved, that's a function of where he started. We don't know if when he was clipped, he took an additional step before falling backwards. So that will change how far you are off the roadway. So the impact, which you'll see in a second, even at 2 miles an hour, will induce rotation of the body. So depending on the speed, the higher the speed, the more rotation. So if I may.
You can't. No, you may not. Not more.
So slide 111.
Is he going to take his shirt off?
Showing where I walk sideways, how this lines up with the location of the lacerations on Mr. O'Keefe's arm. Here's the post-contact scuffing on the taillight. Here's a picture of this.
I feel like what they're doing and recreating and what they're trying to make happen that's criminal.
Read's vehicle on the right-hand side. So now I said, okay, that was me walking into the car. Let's have the car drive into me.
Oh my God. Oh my. The car's going to drive into you? Oh, that's why they got crash test dummies, bro. You're supposed to let the car hit you. Is he really going to do this? Oh my God.
And you'll see, and we'll throw this from 2 different angles.
No.
That's me showing.
Oh my God.
I'm doing test 2.
So the car hit you. You're still standing. I'm speechless. What the fuck is this guy doing? Now I'm going to let the car hit. What? A live dummy is right. He's a method actor. Oh my goodness.
And we'll throw this from 2 different angles.
Yeah, I'm going to slow it
That's
down.
me
Watch the car hit
showing.
you. Here we go.
I'm doing
and
test 2.
Owie. I mean, if anything, you're just like helping the defense with this, right? Again? Oh, not this. I already saw it.
This is from a camera that we have pointing down at it. This is the speed. You'll see it's only about a 2-mile-an-hour impact. But even a 2-mile-an-hour impact redirects me back and causes
Let it hit you at 24. Or is he gonna let us see that?
me to rotate and take a step.
That's true, Irene. Emily D. Baker said, imagine what his corporate lawyers said about this. They're like, Judson? I don't think that's a good idea. No, it's good. It's good. I got paint. I'm cool. I'm good.
Yes.
Oh my God. Alessi, this is a joke. This is a joke. This is a joke. They're like, we need a sidebar. We need a sidebar ASAP PIMP. This is ridiculous. How many times do we have to watch this man get hit by a car?
And what slide is this? I think I just can't see it. What slide is this?
114.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
And all he did was create more reasonable doubt on a case that has too much reasonable doubt as
One
it
moment,
is.
Dr. Welcher. When you were showing us this video, you walked to the side of the passenger side of the car, didn't you?
I did.
And why did you do that?
I was discussing with them what to do.
You were discussing with who what to do.
The driver.
But in no way were you trying to imitate or give a demonstration of what you believed Mr. O'Keefe's movements to be.
Oh, no. This speeds.
Well, then what were you doing? Because you were like, I feel like this guy's having too much fun.
Just 2 miles an hour. I was having a discussion with the driver about what we needed to do to conduct the test.
So when you walked up to the passenger side, it wasn't to replicate a study or a movement or give an opinion.
No, that walking
simply-
had nothing to do with this case except for me instructing the driver what to do.
Thank you for that.
Then why were you like, hey, on your mark, get set. Stupid.
Sorry about that.
No apology necessary. Could you go back to the beginning when you were explaining this so we can go through it?
Very creepy. Like creepy and disrespectful.
So this is the dynamic test 2.
Oh, not again. I hope he lets the speed increase every time. Are we going to get up to 24 miles an hour? Oh, he's back. He's like, this guy has a car hitting him fetish.
So again, this is the view from behind.
What the fuck?
Just to avoid the confusion, I will start it here.
No, you're confusing us more.
What speed is the car traveling?
You can see it.
Don't be a pussy. Put it up to 24 miles an hour, sir. Oh, he's going to slow it down. Oh,
About 2 miles an hour.
I think he just wanted to show his arms. Because remember in the beginning, he was like, at that time, I was 220. Yeah. I was going to Planet Fitness a lot. It's open 24/7. Yeah. No, MBD. They ring the bell on me a lot because I slam the weights, but I just want people to know I'm working out. I'm lifting.
Your Honor, that is the objection that we spoke about.
Oh, okay. All right. So
Alessi's like, Your Honor, that's the objection we spoke about. And they're playing it again. They're doing it again. Oh, okay. Sorry. I was thinking about my bangs.
that's noted, Mr. Leslie.
So similar to the other test, this is the post-contact image of the transfers onto my arm. Actually, the yellow paint you can see from my hand is here. This is from the arm and forearm. Here's the paint transfer pattern.
The paint. We got a guy that wanted to be an art student or something. Unnecessary.
And that slide number,
I'm
Dr.
sorry,
Welcher?
I'm terrible with that.
That's
Slide
okay.
116 now. It was 115.
Thank you.
Slide 116. What I've done is I've taken these yellow lines to show the extension of the components on the rear of the exemplar Lexus. Then I've done this extension of those same components on the rear of Miss Reed's Lexus and shown how the approximate location of the fractures in the taillight match up with the approximate location of the contact of the arm onto the taillight.
Dr. Welcher,
This
do
is
you
so
have any
dumb.
indication of how Mr. O'Keefe's arm was bent, what angle it was bent at?
Not exactly, but for the
Yeah, how the hell would you know how John O'Keefe's arm was? You don't. You wouldn't. Don't try.
these to be taillight shard fragments, they would need to be in the area of the taillight, but it could be further up. We know from the police photographs that there was a
We're just gonna guess. Could be, maybe, possibly. Who knows? No big deal. Just got a lady that's on trial for murder.
damage to the rear body panel in the area I'm searching here. So it's possible his arm was a little higher up and the glass hit the rear of the Lexus.
Possible. Reasonable doubt. We don't know. No one knows. No one's sure. Who knows? Yeah, maybe, maybe not.
And caused that damage.
In the bottom right,
Excuse me, Your Honor, objection.
I will strike that last part about the glass.
Poor Alessi. Yeah, he's talking about the glass. I will strike that last part about the glass. Oh my God.
the purpose of the circle is for what, Dr. Welcher?
To show, in this case, primarily the location of the lacerations up on the arm, the upper part of the arm, and that they match up with the locations of at least the one remaining shard in the rear taillight of Miss Reed's Lexus.
And his family has to sit there. His mother has to sit there and watch this. This is ridiculous.
Looking at the picture of the Lexus bottom right middle, are there any marks on the Lexus itself that you took note of?
Yes, it's on the next slide.
Thank you.
Actually, it's 2 slides. So there, again, this is the evidence marker. There was a horizontal scuff. We know Mr. O'Keefe had blue jean type pants on. There's a scuff in the area that would approximately correspond to hip level for Mr. O'Keefe.
Next slide, please.
Yes, ma'am. 118.
Even Bev's like not having. She's like, next slide, please. We got it. Okay, thank you. Thank you for painting your body. You're into body paint. Okay, cool. Awesome.
Did you describe what you saw?
This guy has like a Burning Man fetish, I think. I think this aperture, a Judson, he's trying to talk the wife into, she won't let him go to Burning Man. You know, us wives. Oh my God, we're so mean. So he's got to bring it into his work. Paint himself. Be cuckoo.
You saw on the bottom right-hand corner photo as well?
I believe, yes, I did. That's the scuff that lines up the approximate height of Mr. O'Keefe's right hip.
Right, Mac.
So then
we
I
don't.
included
This is ridiculous.
previous image that you've seen, slide 119, with the reconstructed photograph of the rear taillight, showing where some of the fragments are. You can see where those fragments are relative to the curvature of the taillight. They'd be in the area somewhat centered within the region of the 2 yellow lines on slide 119.
Is there anything about the photograph in the top right-hand corner that's
Well-
important? If so, could you zoom in and show us?
So again, it's showing that this is when it's, I believe, in the Sally Port at the police station, showing that scuff on the right rear body panel.
Did you see any similar scuffs in the middle back of the car?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Did you see anything notable as far as damage to the middle back of this Lexus?
The middle,
Yes.
like
What
backward-
Hanky Panky does, and it's so obvious, even if you're not a lawyer or you're not well versed in the law, which I am not well versed in the law and I'm not a lawyer, is he leads his people, his witnesses in the direction and gives them the answer in his questions. So they can just, oh yeah, there's a scuff. Not what do you see on that? Do you see a scuff there? Do you see that's like he's giving him, and having watched this case now or this trial, it happens so often. And I'm not saying that, the defense doesn't sometimes do this as well and that lawyers don't do this, but Hank Brennan does this all the freaking time.
back where the doors are.
But with the middle of the back of the car, did you see any similar damage to the middle? or
There
the
were
left?
scuff marks that ran along the bumper.
Okay, continue, please.
I hope she left the courtroom. 'cause
So this is showing
creepy.
his jacket he was wearing, that the puncture marks coincide to the marks on his arm. This is from the autopsy report. A couple things it notes: a 0.5 centimeter abrasion on his right lateral knee. He's got a laceration on his right eyelid. That corresponds to the height of that thin rear wind wing on the back of the Lexus.
I'm going to object.
Sustained.
Thank you.
How tall was Mr. O'Keefe?
73 inches tall, 6'1".
And how high was that wing from the ground on the back of the Lexus?
It was a
Oh my God, sir. It's your stuff. It's your info.
It's about 5 feet 11 inches, maybe 5 feet 10 and a half.
Maybe. Who knows? Just guessing.
Did you notice anything about Mr. O'Keefe's right knee?
I noticed there was a half centimeter abrasion on the right lateral knee.
Did you note how high from his foot that bruise was on his knee?
We don't know the exact length of his knee. The abrasion appears to be right here at knee level. If you go back and look at where my knee.
All right. Let's see what other. Okay. So we got 251. Okay. Lexus pedestrian throw and head injuries, scene evidence. All right.
Forearm and arm are consistent with the geometry and orientation of
Objects that we discussed. The tech stream data, the injury to Mr. O'Keefe's right arm.
More slides.
Continue, please.
this, by the way, is the flagpole.
And that slide number, please, Dr.
Yes, ma'am. 129.
Yes, ma'am.
Slide 130.
Can you enlarge that and explain to us what that is?
Sure. So at the bottom, it indicates where it's from. So this was from a presentation I gave looking at pedestrian injury biomechanics back in 2005. And what it's showing is what are the most common injuries in pedestrian impacts. So what it shows is head injuries are the most common injury in pedestrian impacts. So on the right-hand side, it's all injuries. You can see of all the individual study, the highest prevalence or highest or most common injury was head injuries. In those that sustained severe life-threatening injuries, again, the highest was also head injuries. So head injuries are very commonly associated with pedestrian impacts. This is anatomical drawings just to help you understand the anatomy. The middle section here.
This is a mess. This is a PowerPoint mess. That's too much. No one can follow all that on one slide. Why are you adding all that? Ugh.
Is from Mr. O'Keefe's autopsy report. The lower right diagram, the green line represents the fracture lines, predominantly here, at least in the base of the skull.
I feel like he did it like right before school started. He waited to do his project till 5 minutes before it was due. Oh
So
my
in
God.
the biomechanical and forensics just means the legal related scientific industry, there's something called hat brim line or hat line analysis. And what it is it's looking at where the hat line you can manage where the brim of a hat would be. And what it is, it's literature that's looking at where head injuries from falls commonly occur.
I need to strike that.
I'll strike. I'm going to strike.
You better
Strike.
remove from the screen.
Yeah.
They're striking half of his freaking testimony towards the end here with the reconstruction. That's how shitty this is. Oh my God.
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So that was slide 131.
You're striking your slides, bro.
No, that was 132. I moved it because you said take that screen.
Your Honor, one more question. Did not take that into consideration.
So, jurors, when I strike something, that means no meaning.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Just don't pay attention to it, just don't. I know it's hard not to. It's already in your brains, but don't pay attention to it.
Continue, Dr. Welcher.
So I need to go past that slide.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
This is the next slide.
Okay, if you can continue.
Sure. So I provided peer-reviewed scientific literature that
No,
looked
it's
at a
bad
metric
then, Cammy.
where they were publishing research trying to delineate falls versus blows or assaults. And so this metric is in that scientific literature. They looked at a total of 400 different events, 235 falls, 165 assaults. And so you can see where it says mandible. So mandible is your lower jaw.
Can you enlarge that a little bit, please?
Your Honor, pardon the interruption. I'm moving to strike.
Yeah, let's take that slide down. I'm going to see you inside.
Oh, this is a mess. Take that down. We're going to see it sidebar. Okay. You guys are really flattening my bangs. They were extra voluminous today, and they're not anymore.
Actually, 133, Dr.
Is that me or 132 or 133?
133, please. The next one after that.
So we did skip over 132.
We skipped over that one as well. Going. There we go. You can enlarge that just a little bit for us.
Sure.
Now, you mentioned that there were studies that talk about guiding the difference between potential injuries.
Correct.
Okay, explain that.
Sure. So I gave 3 papers and someone's dissertation on this issue. They were creating a analysis methodology to differentiate whether the nature and pattern of injuries are more consistent with a fall or more consistent with an assault, or they're calling it blows.
Okay, can you walk us through what this chart means?
Sure. So this is their flow chart in terms of their assessment. So it starts at the very top. You can see they analyze a total of 400 events, 235 falls, 165 blows or assaults. So what you do is you ask yourself on the first set of arrows, you look at the mandible, the jaw. And MRS, as you can see at the bottom down here, refers to a simple fracture or multiple fractures. A is no fracture. Mr. O'Keefe has no mandible fracture. So that means we go down this row. It then looks at all facial fractures. So these are the bones that constitute the face. So if you have a facial fracture, you go to your left. If you have no facial fracture, you go to the right. So if you have some event, no mandible fracture, no facial fracture, what they've indicated that is predominantly associated with falls and not assaults.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
In addition, did you do any further study on the force of a person falling back and landing on their head?
Oops, I did. So what I did was I did what are called drop test. I took an anthropomorphic test device, ATD, which is just a fancy name for a crash test dummy, and dropped it backwards onto a hard surface to look at what happens if you were to say fall backwards and hit your head onto a hard surface.
Oh boy, here we go.
On this particular photograph of Mr. O'Keefe in the upper left, there's noted to be abrasions above the fracture line in the area. You can't see that at all. You can see noted to be abrasions right here. Your Honor, I've got a hat. That was the one I used in my testing. May I put it on and demonstrate something?
Mr. Lacy?
What is with this guy and wanting to dress up? I brought a hat, Your Honor. Can I put it on? Thank you so much. A hat? What? Why do you need to wear the hat? What in the role play? Whoever mentioned earlier that he's LARPing, he is. He literally just asked Auntie Bev if he could put a hat on that he brought.
Abrasions right here. Your Honor, I've got a hat. That was the one I used in my testing. May I put it on and demonstrate something?
Mr. Lacy?
If you would like a sidebar,
Are you objecting? That's a stage. No, you can't.
Okay.
No.
So
Bev goes, no, you can't put it on. You can't. Okay. You can't put half a hat on. You can't put a whole hat on. We're not doing this. This isn't dress up. I'm like embarrassed for this man. This man makes too much money.
I will show you the dummy test I did. Watch when the shoulders hit the ground and the head hits the ground. It creates kind of an arc path that will drag and slide objects up the head. So if you have something such as a baseball hat,
Oh my God.
it'll cause it to drag across the scalp, dragging it up to a similar location to where these abrasions are. So here's the testing. Again, this is a crash test dummies you see on television. This is myself.
Kidding me.
He's giving me similar instructions, telling me what we're going to do.
Oh my God. Why is he humping that crash test dummy? Why does it look like they're at like a high school dance grinding? Why is he holding the dummy's ass? I have so many questions. Why is the dummy holding his ass? Why is there ass play in the dummy work? Oh my God. Why is the dummy wearing neon shorts? What's happening here? I wasn't ready for this, Dr. Judson Welcher. Oh, he's like, freak me, baby. Oh, yeah. Let me lick you up and down. They look like they're grinding, baby. When you're grinding, I get so excited. This is no. And he wants to dress up. Check his hard drive. Check his hard drive.
I said, and watch.
Well, that was rude. That was rude. That dummy didn't deserve that. But do you see what I'm saying? It's too sexy. It's too sexual.
This is myself. Me giving me similar instructions, telling me what we're going to do.
Why are you holding him like that?
I said, and watch.
Oh my God.
Shoulders come in, then the head contacts the ground.
But where's the hat?
If you fall backwards and land on a very hard surface, you'll get extremely high loads on the head.
He just said you're going to get high loads on the head. I can't. Judson, stop it. Stop it, Judson. We didn't consent to this.
if you compare that to data in the sign, yeah. Oh, sure. This chart up here.
It's such an unfortunate hand placement for Judson. You could anywhere. You could have held the dummy anywhere. You chose his ass cheek.
Right.
Check his hard drive.
Absolutely.
I can't.
So this is actually kind of a famous study that was published. One of the first studies looking
Probably Molly, now that I think about it. Kayla, yeah. Kayla, it's probably a Molly. It's making me like, it's just, it's too much. It's too much. I've been around friends who were rolling. Obviously, I've never rolled, you know, and yeah, he's definitely rolling. Allegedly, obviously, for satire, comedy purposes.
looking at head fracture or skull fracture tolerances. So what you see, the portion at the back of your skull is called the occiput bone.
No.
So that bone, if you put your hand on the back of your head, is your occiput.
Is
So
he
we're looking
wearing a
at
hat?
occiput impacts. And what you can see is that when they took cadaver skulls and dropped them from as low as 40 inches onto a hard surface, they were getting linear fractures. And you can see even at 40 inches, there's called a stellate fracture. Stellate means star-like. You get a fracture that goes out like a star. So even at a 40-inch drop height, you have sufficient force when landing on a hard surface to cause skull fracture. And
No. No, we're fast forwarding. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Cassandra says, imagine if he was allowed to put the hat on. It says, not my first rodeo. Oh my God. And it says professional muff diver. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, no. We're not doing this. We're not doing this, Judson. I cannot wait for Alessi to get a hold of this guy.
To a reasonable degree of engineering uncertainty whether or not the defendant's Lexus
hard surface, you can
comes to a conclusion to a reasonable degree of engineering uncertainty whether or not the defendant's Lexus collided with Mr. John O'Keefe on the evening of January 22nd.
I heard that too, Jewel. He slipped and said boner. A boner. I heard boner too.
Your third party analysis. Did you come to a conclusion to a reasonable degree
His neck.
of engineering uncertainty whether or not the defendant's Lexus collided with Mr. John O'Keefe on the evening of January 29th, 2022, around 12:32 a.m.?
Yes.
Before you give me your opinion, I'd like you to share with the jury what that opinion is based on.
Sure. So based on the 130 slides you've seen, based on my personal inspection of the Lexus,
No.
the correlation of the text stream data with the infotainment data, as well as Mr. O'Keefe's cell phone data, it's looking at,
He does have a
I
good
guess,
chin.
where the taillight wasn't broken. It's looking at the physical evidence at the scene in terms of taillight fragments, glass fragments, red color in the snow. We have the
Red
cell
dye.
phone data, the location and position of the arm lacerations, the air temperature at the time indicative of sufficient to freeze, the location of the fracture on the back of his head relative to the scientific literature, my testing of forces available falling onto a hard surface, published science on the fracture forces associated with falls. I'm sorry, I'm reading from the report. I'm reading from my report.
Can you answer without reading from the report?
Probably it's more complete.
Can you answer without reading from your report? I mean, maybe. I don't. Who wrote the report? Did Brennan write the report? What's going on? Why don't you know what your report says? I want to read, but I want to read. He's like the guy from Office Space, but they said that I could have the stapler, and they said that I could be in the. They said that, and then they moved my office until the basement, and then they took my stapler, and then I'm gonna blow the place up like that. He sounds like the dude from Office Space.
The objection, Mr. Lunzer?
I do on this question, reading from a report with this question.
I almost feel bad for this guy because Alessi is going to destroy him in the cross. Oh my God.
So, I have to read.
Okay.
Okay, Dr. Watts, let me ask you again. Based on your analysis, data available, reviews, study, based on the fact that you are an accident reconstructionist and a biomedical engineer, have you reached an opinion to a
Mr.
reasonable degree
Milton.
of engineering certainty whether the defendant's Lexus struck Mr. John O'Keefe on January 29, 2022, around 12:32 a.m.?
Yes.
And could you share the basis of your opinion before I ask you your ultimate opinion?
Sure. So again, you've seen my slide presentation. I've inspected the Lexus.
Unfortunately,
I've looked at where it wasn't damaged.
it's my staple.
I've inspected the taillight. I got an exemplar Lexus. I ran lower speed contacts to verify that the injury pattern and location on the arm is consistent with the height and orientation of the taillight. I have looked at fracture tolerance data for falling backwards onto hard surfaces. I've looked at the metrics of where his injuries were and what injuries he didn't sustain. I've looked at the cell phone data, and then I've looked at Ms. Reed's interviews as well.
Based on all the evidence you considered, could you share with the jury what your opinion is to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty about whether the defendant's Lexus struck Mr. O'Keefe on January 29, 2022, around 12:32 a.m.?
Yes, based on the totality of the evidence, DNA, everything I talked about, that is consistent with that happening with a reasonable scientific certainty. That is what happened.
He said that is what happened. He's saying it like it's a fact. Like he just proved it, like booyakasha, I proved it. No. Oh my gosh. And of course, you know, Alessi jumping in with objection. No.
DNA, everything I talked about, that is consistent with that happening with a reasonable scientific certainty. That is what happened.
That is what happened. You can't say that. That is what happened. 100%. Boom. Mic drop. Oh, Alessi's like, we need a sidebar.
Those same questions, please do not discuss.
What's she talking to the jury? You gotta go. Ma, we're starting later.
Don't do any independent research or investigation.
Don't do any independent research or investigation into me or my friends. I mean, the Commonwealth. Don't do it. Don't look it up.
In this case, if you happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case, please disregard it and let us know, and please be very careful with your social media.
And follow me on Instagram. Auntie Bev knows everything.
All right.
Okay, so the jury left, and we're back.
Dr. Welcher,
Dr. Welcher can step down. I know he has to come back and have his
so just
equipment.
leave everything here.
And then you'll come back in 5 minutes.
Roger.
All right.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yes, please. All right. So, Mr. Alessi, I will hear you as to your objection.
Thank you, Your Honor. Would you like me to go to the podium or stand?
Right
Yes.
there's fine. And
No,
let's try and
go to
wrap
the
it-
mic.
It's all up by 4 because I've already heard you at sidebar. That means both.
Oh my God. Bev, calm it down. Bev's like, I've already heard Jed's sidebar. Just hurry up. I gotta go. She's always in such a hurry.
Both of you I'll hear from within the next 5 minutes. Go ahead, Mr. Alessi.
Thank you, Your Honor. The point number one is the question of whether, based on reasonable degree of scientific or engineering certainty, you have to think whether a collision occurred. I'm going to give a dramatic and accurate example that happens in courts all the time equivalent. So, by analogy, if the issue is whether or not a defendant has stabbed an individual and caused a certain event, that is the ultimate question for the jury. That question is never permissible in a trial. By analogy, this is the exact analogous situation. The question of whether there was a collision is the ultimate question for the jury. That is why we are having this trial.
Yep.
The defense strongly asserts there was no collision, and there is substantial evidence to that. We are going to cross-examine Dr. Welcher. We are going to put in our own strong case to demonstrate no collision occurred. That's no surprise. It was in our opening statement. This witness cannot, by precedent for years, opine on the ultimate question that is going to the jury. I accept, subject to evidentiary issues, the true questions that a biomechanist always answers in these situations. Is the damage to the vehicle consistent with a pedestrian hitting the vehicle? And are the injuries to the individual consistent with being hit by a motor vehicle? Those are the questions that are permissible, not the collision question. It is resoundingly improper in this trial, and any trial presents the ultimate conclusion for the jury. Yes, an expert can offer opinions, but every expert is bounded by the extent of their opinion, and that opinion on whether there was a collision would invade the province of the jury and the whole purpose why we are here, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Brennan.
Get it, Alessi. He's like, that's for the jury to decide. Whew. Perfectly. He said it perfect, Alessi. I get it. I get where you're coming from, because that was like, why is he saying it like that?
So what Mr. Alessi is arguing is that in their
Alessi? Did he call him Khaleesi? Is he watching Game of Thrones or something? What's going on? His name is Alessi.
opening statement, they
Ceci Alessi.
repeatedly invaded the province of the jury because they must have asserted vehemently over and over again there was no collision, over and over and over again. And he just told you that when his expert case stands, they'll have abundant evidence that there was no collision. This case is about the collision, but that is not the ultimate issue. The ultimate issue is manslaughter or mens rea for second-degree murder, not collision. They don't get to define the prosecution's case. They do not get to define or limit the prosecution's opinions. They have no case law. They have no study. They have no jurisdiction or jurisprudence to say what we are limited to. He's entitled to an opinion. His opinion is not limited to whether or not the defendant struck Mr. O'Keefe. That evidence is obvious. It's not whether or not there's damage to the car or Lexus. That evidence is obvious.
But he just said he should be answering, is this consistent to this? Is this consistent to what an automobile? Not this is the reason.
He also, as an enormous part of a biomedical engineer and an accident reconstructionist, he studied the text stream data. They didn't, he did.
He put paint on himself and ran himself into the back of the car at 2 miles an hour. He wore the man who's passed away's clothes or clothes like it.
And he's entitled to give an opinion. The text stream data based on fact and
He
science
wanted to wear a hat for whatever reason.
and data tells us when, if you put it together with other evidence, and where, when you contribute it with other evidence, this collision actually occurred. We don't have to play peekaboo and close our eyes to the reality of the fact that the evidence supports the conclusion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty that the defendant struck Mr. O'Keefe with her Lexus in front of Fairview Road. I am not interjecting the defendant. I always refer to her car, so it is sanitized, her Lexus. I've been careful about that. I don't have to, but I'm very careful about it. He is relying on the text
I don't have to, but I do it.
data, the physical evidence is independent studies. He is allowed to offer an opinion about whether the injuries are consistent with the damage to the car, whether the damage to the car is
Bev is already packing up to go. I don't even think she's listening.
consistent with the injury to Mr. O'Keefe. And
He's like, and I got to get tied free and clear because my husband has eczema. And if I get anything with the tide that has any kind of coloring or dye, he's going to break out in hives. What else do I need? Dawn soap. Last time I sent my husband out, he got Palmolive. I hate Palmolive. Okay.
And he's also allowed to answer, in his opinion, the issue of a collision, putting aside the fact that that was emphasized and repeated in the opening statement, and it's going to happen again when other people testify. It's not our fault that ARCA didn't testify or look into the text stream data, or they don't have an expert for it. It doesn't belittle or limit
Stop hating on Arca. You jealous?
that evidence. We expect to ask Dr. Welcher, does he have an opinion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty whether the defendant's Lexus collided with Mr. O'Keefe on January 29, 2022, around 12:32 a.m. That is one of the opinions we're going to ask him. Nothing to do with the ultimate opinion of guilt or innocence or whether it's manslaughter.
That's what you're asking. If Karen hit him with the car and that's the reason he's deceased, like that's what you're asking. Oh, I hope Brennan doesn't win this one. Because what Alessi's saying makes perfect sense to me, the non-lawyer comedian.
Right for second-degree murder.
And what was your second? You said that's one of the opinions you're going to ask him. What else?
I will also ask him about the consistent with, whether the injuries are consistent with.
With what?
I'm going to ask him after this part.
Oh my God, I think he just had a brain fart. Brennan.
Nothing to do with the ultimate opinion of guilt or innocence or whether it's manslaughter or there's mens rea for second-degree murder.
And what was your second? You said that's one of the opinions you're going to ask him. What else?
I will also ask him about the consistent with, whether the injuries are consistent with.
What?
With what?
I'm going to ask him after this part about the difference between a clip or a side swipe as opposed to a full-on injury, pedestrian collision from a front or back of a bumper. And there are further slides to emphasize that point. And so there'll be an opinion regarding that as well.
And you
Just to see with a side swipe or a clip.
okay? So this is not the end of Dr.
Yeah.
Welcher's testimony. He's just moving on to another area.
Oh no.
It's close, but it's not the end.
Oh, it's close. Thank God.
Okay. Go ahead.
I was like, I can't believe I'm still working.
Yeah.
Your Honor, here's the case. Attorney Brennan said, the case, here it is. Commonwealth, you call me, 366 Mass 705. And it stands as a proposition exactly that I articulated. I won't repeat it. Secondly, Your Honor, we practice what we preach. I have the ARCA report right in front of me. And I have the report.
Is that a new one or is that
This is the new one.
Okay.
It's also, the old one is the same. So I can, either one is the same. They do not, Mr. Brennan incorrectly said what our experts are going to do. I don't know why he did that because he has these in writing. Neither Dr. Wolf or Dr. Rentschler talk about a collision or conclusion. It's consistency. So there's two questions I said in sidebar. And for reference, Your Honor, for the most recent is page 15. There is no.
I don't have that report, so I'd like a copy of that report.
And I also, Your Honor, refer Your Honor to ARCA's existing report, which I'm going to do from memory. I think it's February of 2024 that was done for the U.S. Department of Justice and FBI, where they basically said they gave opinions on those two items I spoke to you at sidebar. So Attorney Brennan is incorrect when he says what our experts are going to say or not. We've already committed in writing to what they're going to say. We're consistent. We practice what we preach.
All right, so we will discuss this tomorrow before we start. I'll tell you my ruling tomorrow.
We're ending on a cliffhanger. Bev, don't do it. Girl, don't do it. It's not worth it.
Before we start, I need to go back and see what exactly came in to evidence.
I need to go back and check my bangs. They feel greasy. They feel greasy. This is too much. That guy did so much and he kept talking to me and he was spitting on me and it was getting in my bangs. They feel wet.
Today.
This should have been a half day.
All right, so I'll see you in the morning.
All right.
Bevs, I'll see you in the morning, you guys. Well, we're left on a cliffhanger. Tomorrow, we'll come back tomorrow, reconvene tomorrow night and see what happens. Oh, goodness gracious. Adios mio. Ugh. Those blue half curtains are quite horrible, Brian. I think you're right. I think you're right. Oh, check my DMs. Let me check my DMs real quick. All right. Let's see. Checking my DMs. Checking them. On Insta? Is it recent? I see something from you, but it's about the valley. The valley. Okay, so we'll be back tomorrow, you guys. I gotta go. I gotta do anything. I gotta cleanse myself. Okay. That was a lot. I did not expect a painting party. I didn't expect that. I'll tell you. Okay. Care Bear, all I see is the brow. Oh, okay. The brow. Okay, yeah, the valley stuff. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna go paint Chell's body and recreate whatever this live stream was or something. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Shout out to my super chairs today. Chickenhead PK Neely. Thank you, Tracy, for being a member. Happy birthday, Irene. I hope you have the best birthday ever. And maybe we'll see you tomorrow. Maybe we won't. But take care of yourself. Birthday wishes. If you're on the replay crew, make sure you drop a disco ball in the comment section so we know you're part of the replay crew. You guys are all beautiful pumpkin spice babies, and I appreciate each and every one of you. And we will see you tomorrow when we're back finding out what's going to go on in this cliffhanger. All right, you guys, don't forget to smash that like. Goodbye. Go get yourself a peanut butter sandwich.
Because I had like bread and maybe peanut butter in my car.
Why did you have bread and peanut butter in your car?
I had my niece for the week, and I was dragging her like to all my kids' sporting events. So we'd go from like one game to another game.